Okay, so I'm continuing uploading audio recordings I've made over the last 2 or 3 years. I've lost a couple with aborted uploads. Getting some interference here, the picture goes, but not to worry, we'll plough on. I'm trying to clear a phone to give it to somebody, but I need to keep a hard copy of these.
Also talk about autism, brain pathways, DID, ADHD, childhood trauma, Paul Hegstrom. I mean, this is a sociologist's thesis. It's the PhD thesis, if anybody wants to pick it up. Grandiosity is one of the symptoms of several of the diagnoses I've had, but at the same time I believe in visionary abilities, and my university said I was the brightest student they'd had in 10 years, and I think of people like Einstein and Van Gogh and different people that had epilepsy and various brain disorders, but were absolute geniuses. And I'm not interested in my own genius, I'm just interested in recording for posterity. In Van Gogh's most darkest moments after epileptic seizures, he would paint the most amazing work, and I do believe that it wasn't by mistake that I managed to get educated. And I'm reading a book at the moment about autism, about an high-functioning Asperger's sufferer, whatever. Anyway, he's written a book, and it's amazing insight into autism and his world, and I just am trying to do the same, only I wish I had the focus, possibly as an adult ADHD sufferer. I wish I had the focus to pull this together and make it a book, make it a movie, but there is nothing more fascinating to human beings than family dynamics, and that, the Holy Family, that's why Catholicism has stood so long. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, it's like family is what we all come from and what we all strive to return to. And on your deathbed you don't say, I made millions, or, I was famous, or whatever. You say, where's my dad, where's my mum, where's my siblings, where's my children, where are, whatever the grammatical term is.
Okay, moving swiftly along. I won't delete any of these until I've got them uploaded, because I just lost one. But not to worry. Okay.
And I need to address something about Uncle Noel and Uncle Anthony. It's not Noel's fault that Anthony died, it's not Shireen's fault. What I believe in is if somebody's old and Alzheimer's and a bit of a danger to themselves or others, you've got two choices. You can either lock them up or you can pray. I prefer to pray.
Short and sweet little notes. Okay.
And talk about Paddy Mullins and Marcel Pagnol and the Dubliners and parochial jealousy. And do the video of different cultures of men and what they're like to date.
That was a request from an American.
Talk about Creflo Dollar and Christian compulsive disorder and trying to keep the law. Brilliant.
Oh well.
And dreams of German hairy armpits and liberalism.
Oh well.
So I understand.
Right. Yeah.
Right, so just so everybody feels comfortable, I'm taping this just privately for Gabby, Dorothy and Angie, and I'll do a transcript for Dorothy tomorrow. And it's just so that nobody gets crossed wires, because the Power family specialises in crossed wires. And I'm having difficulty separating how Dad and my sisters behave from how you have done sometimes, or whatever, Mum. So
I'm perfectly willing to admit I've got trust issues. The first thing I want to say without being long-winded is that when people say to me, what did you do with your degree, and you wasted all your intelligence, right? But even though I've spent 13 years being a single parent and a carer of 2 children with disabilities, and then latterly a carer of elderly parents, but I bring all my intelligence and education to bear on it. So like, I've raised about £4 grand plus for you so far in grants and things that were due to you and things that you were entitled to and so on. When the carers department asked me what do you do as a carer, I'm not hands-on scrub the floor and bath you. Right? I can do that, but you know it's not my gift, right? My gift is do the paperwork, do the admin, find the grants, find the money, stand up for what's right. So when I was Daddy's carer, I spent 6 months working on his according to him, his quest was that Sharon had cheated him and taken his bungalow and it wasn't fair, and I believed him. I spent 6 months doing what a legal secretary would have been on 30 grand a year doing. Hours and hours and hours on my computer, putting a case together, taking Daddy to trim, getting him appointments, blah blah blah. And then at the last hurdle, Sean and Anthony took him to Waterford to their solicitor. Tony had said, we'll pay for any legal bills, Sharon's doing you wrong, Tony said, I'll foot the bill, Nico, sue her. When Kathy contacted Uncle Anthony and said, it's time for a 500 retainer for the solicitor, Fiona got involved and said, no, I'm suspicious, I don't trust Angie, she's swapped solicitors, there's something fishy here. And the truth is, I'd only swapped solicitors because I'd found a better one, because I used my intelligence and education and found the best one for using whatever. So, I suppose the point of that is me saying that Daddy used me, amongst other things, to do 6 months legal work to get his cottage bungalow back, and then dumped me at the last hurdle and said no. Sean and Anthony said no. They said they took me to their solicitor and he said, oh, she'll throw a lot of money at it and you mightn't get anything if you not negotiate. So I had the same fear, and I shouldn't tar you and Daddy with the same brush, but I had the same fear that I'm making everybody hate me, I'm being everybody's enemy by getting you what's legally due you, which is half the pensions, half the SAFA, establish whether you legally signed over your half of Rainbow Farm, establish whether you can give the field to Nicky without your agreement. Like, I'm trying to get your rights, I'm just very down the line, feminist, Christian, whatever, just do what's right. But I also have this fear that even if I put in hours and hours and hours of advocating for you on a very professional level, that you could then turn around and say, okay, good, right, now I've established that they did forge my signature, but I wouldn't dream of taking the farm back off them. Now I've established that Daddy did pull the wool over my eyes, but I don't want to do anything to undo it. Now I've established that he can't give the field to Nicky with my agreement, but sure, I suppose if he said it, then we'll give it to Nicky. And so, I don't know, I can't dictate what you will or won't do, and I forgive everything that's happened, and I love you, so I can't just abandon you, I can't just cut you off and say, well, she's hurt me in the past, so I'm not doing anything. At the same time, it's fact that Amory got a £250,000 farm for 70 grand, Sharon got 70 grand, 40 after she paid her mortgage off and built a garage, but she got 40 grand pocket money and still owns the house and land, which she's never been a responsible landlady of. And you and Daddy have added value to, with stables and kennels and landscaping and whatever. It also was said to us that you were cross that Daddy was making Sharon do so many jobs out of her 70 grand that you plowed the Symphonium money into it, just said to Sharon, don't let on that I'm paying, you pretend you're paying like Daddy demands. So whatever, that's all fine. It's not fine, but I don't bear grudges. Also, the thing with, it hurt with jewellery, you said Kathy wasn't fit to give jewellery to because your lovely jewellery got stolen out of her house. and you said I wasn't fit to give jewellery to because I got robbed by a, South African dentist's staff, which I did. And I've travelled so much and moved so much, I've lost thousands worth of jewellery. And, Kathy got burgled. But it did hurt. Not only did Anne-Marie get some jewellery, Sharon got some jewellery, and then the lion's share of it was given between Lana and Gemma, and then Gemma even turned around and said, yes, but I don't even want it. So, all of those things, whilst I don't bear grudges, like they do register, even petty things like Gabriella came up and did your Christmas tree for 20 years, and then you said, I'm leaving the Christmas ornaments between all the... You said 3 granddaughters, and then Gabriella said there's 4 of us, and you said, well, I don't count Louise, whatever. I'm not here to grind Louise's axe at the moment, although my heart hurts for her. But I just want to explain, if things had been normal, you hadn't been in an abusive marriage, 2 and 2 hadn't made 5 all these years, then, us girls would never have broken up the farm. I'm like the biggest walking transparent book. I'm horrified that Anne-Marie and Sharon think they've got a case to say that I'm conspiring and doing bribery and corruption when they've had all these secrets, whatever. So, I'm a transparent book. But what I've done, because my kids have said to me over the years, why do we keep visiting Grandad and Granny? Why do we keep having to be polite to them? Why do we keep having to be honouring to them? Why do we keep letting them back into our lives when they hurt us and treat us so badly and so differently? Like the time, Josh and Gemma were just Facebooking, what do you get for Christmas? And Josh goes, I got blah, 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 and 10 off Grandad and Granny. And Gemma, but before that, Gemma had gone, I got blah, 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 and 40 off Grandad and Granny. And so my kids have been hurt over and over, and I've kept training them the way you trained me with character, and said, just forgive them, they don't mean it, we'll do the right thing, they're still your grandparents, blah, blah, blah. But what I have done with my kids is said, facts are facts. Gemma and Nicky's parents have the farm, Alana and Dean's mother has the bungalow and land. The final 3 acres is looking like sliding off Nicky's way. So, if you do jobs for Granny and Grandad, although honourably speaking you shouldn't charge your grandparents, but I totally support you in at least being paid the bare minimum as a tradesman would get, because you have been treated unfairly all your lives by these grandparents. So, part of me feels embarrassed when Josh gets his, whatever, for doing his bit of painting, but then part of me thinks, well, there's a €28,000 field heading its way to Nicky's pocket, and Nicky hasn't even crossed your threshold. And Nicky wouldn't get out of bed for either you or Grandad for the past 5 years, And it's not up to me. And the same with Gabriella. This was the other thing, right? Whatever, I don't like you looking out the window, Gabby, this is hard for me to say, right? The other thing was that I had mixed feelings about Gabriella going up to you at 19, when she was 19. I didn't approve of it, it damaged our relationship. But at the same time, I wrote to you and Daddy and said, if you're what she needs to get through university and to get through the chaos of my nervous breakdown and my issues, then thank you for minding her. But at the same time, you did give her free food and board for a year until she ran away with that idiot Cobble. Grandad did lend her several thousand to do her exhibitions and so on. You gave her granny love, which is priceless, and you cooked, and you did her washing. She also tried to repay by painting and minding yous and bringing a bit of life into the place and mediating during hard times and what have you. And when she got her settlement claim from the car crash, she paid every penny back. She didn't pay room and board for the year. She said she actually paid a bit for that as well. But she did say to Grandad, right, I've got my 24,000, here's the 4,000 I owe you. Or 2,000, whatever, plus a bit extra thrown in. So I don't feel embarrassed at saying to Gabriella, yes, please help me, help Granny get out safely. She's 79, let's help her make a home, and let's help her get into it. Now, I've asked Gabriella to make you a lovely workstation where the ironing goes at the minute in the kitchen. now this is just my opinion, you can change it if you like, but Gabby can make a beautiful space there where your existing computer will work, because let's face it, all you do is email, and maybe occasionally you'd write a letter and print it, and then you're also stuck for space because you've got paperwork, and you've got paperwork in the top of the airing cupboard and stuff like that. So Gabriella says she can make you a beautiful workstation there, so that even it only might be once a week you have the energy, you think, oh, I'll just go and sit in the kitchen, I'll have a look and see what's going on with whoever, whatever, right? And then the chairs to come back, the piano stool to come back, and a couple of pictures up, a couple of lampshades up. So I'm not here to advocate for Gabby, she's well able for that, but I'm just here to explain that I haven't raised my children to be grasping or mercenary, but when they've asked me over the years, why do we keep having to be nice to Grandad and Granny when they've treated us so differently? And I've always said, because that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, if Gary's getting a tenner an hour and it takes a week to get him down and he only stays an hour, I'm not shy about saying, Josh, go and do that painting because Gary's busy. If Gabby says, I'm going to go shopping with 2 children, I'm going to get bargains, I'm going to make curtains, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do blah blah, I'm not embarrassed to say, Granny will give you a few pounds for doing that, it's made a huge difference to her. I'd rather it wasn't that way. I'd rather say Granny and Grandad have treated all of us equally, and I will treat all of you equally, but that's not the way the cookie crumbled. So, that's all I wanted to say. It's like, how dare Sharon come home to see how we're ripping Daddy off, and keep that stuff secret, and swallow up the symphonium, and swallow up all the inheritance you put in Scholar's Rest. How dare Anne-Marie say, I've confiscated Daddy's credit card?
I do want to interrupt you.
Do, it's your privilege.
Over the symphonium, I had the symphonium auction in Christie's in London, and the money that I got from it was used to buy all the furniture and the curtains and the carpets and everything that I've had to leave behind.
I know.
The Scholar's Rest.
I know. But you see, God's got a funny way of making things come to light, right? And it came to light that Daddy was being money grubbing with Sharon about, well, if I'm having your bungalow, I want a garage and I want a workshop and I want tarmac and I want television things, blah blah blah.
Well, I paid for the tarmac.
Yes. And you stepped up and said, I'll pay for that out of my symphonium money, but don't say it to Daddy. Now, with hindsight, we know it's not right? But the truth is, Sharon is the one that will walk away and sell all of that and benefit from all of that, plus having had 40 grand pocket
Well,
money.
as it stands at the moment, nobody can sell it because it doesn't imply you.
I know. Just believe you me, 15, 20 grand, that house will be ready to go. That's exactly the problem Anne-Marie had with the
No,
car.
it won't be ready for that. It's got to be registered for the property tax, and there's a penalty.
What I mean is 15, 20 grand.
It's got to be registered for the sewage tax, and there's a penalty.
Yes, I know.
And the windows don't comply with
I
the
know.
European
So what I'm
standards.
telling you is 15, 20 grand plus some focused attention, that house will be on the market. That's exactly what happened with Rainbow Farm. When Sharon's house was valued at 70, Anne-Marie went for a mortgage. It took 6 months to sort the mess out.
Yes.
Right? And then it jumped in value, and then her and Sharon fell out. And then Daddy says, I'll make it up with you, Sharon, I'll leave 10 or 20 extra in the will.
Yes.
And from there is history, right? So, but that's not, the only point I'm making is that I'm trying to say to you, the reason why my kids and I are a little bit cagey, and a little bit what might appear to you mercenary, is because we've been burned.
Yes.
Badly.
Yes. Well, so have I. I've been there too.
So Gabby, that's me.
I was
Do you
always
want to say anything?
I was always brought up to be very compliant, and I certainly wasn't used to the bullying and abuse that I had to put up with from
But it's also
Granddad.
sometimes
And I kind of caved in and took the easy option all the way through. And I certainly don't remember half the things I'm supposed to have agreed to. Daddy brought a valuer in, unbeknownst to either Sharon or Anne-Marie, and had both properties valued when they weren't there. And he got Vander Armstrong's father.
Daddy's not educated. You would have done that for him. No. Vander Armstrong was she was secretary of the Hunt or something like that. They were very connected with the Hunt, that's how he knew them.
You can't put it all on Daddy.
No, but I was too compliant.
Yeah.
And the wool was pulled over my eyes a lot because, God forgive him, Daddy has told so many lies and so many different stories to so many different
See, here's
people.
my fear, right? When I started minding both of you in January 2011, people said to me they will use you for everything they can and then they'll drop you from a great height again.
Not
Right?
true.
Right.
Well, that's not true of me.
Right.
It is with
So I still have a fear, rational or not, right? Here's my fear.
irrational.
Well, I hope so. My fears are that I will go out of my way, use every bit of my education, every bit of my expertise, every bit of my energy, not necessarily wiping your floor or painting your toenails. I use my brain, but I'll do everything I can to advocate for you and everything I can to get you what's yours and everything I can to help you come out of an abusive relationship.
Yes.
My fear is that, one, if somebody put it in front of you to claim your half of the 3.5 acres, you'll say, no, she'll give it to Nicky.
That's what she
My
said.
second fear is that, two, you'll go to Stowmarket and Sharon will convince you that I've intimidated you and I'm nasty.
No, I've had so
And you'll
much
say,
abuse
keep
from
the
them.
shares, Sharon, and leave things as they are.
No.
So I don't trust you, that's the one. Bottom line is saying, and I don't mean that I don't love you. I just mean I've been burned so many times.
Well,
I've taught my kids, get paid for what you do. If you get anything, it's a bonus, but don't bank on it. And that's just the way I've had to rear my kids, because we've been so badly treated.
And Gabby, you can add to that anything you want. That's me. I've said what I need to say. Just hold me.
Right. Oh, let me be your producer.
My only issue, Granny, I don't
Leave me from just let me fix it up. I don't. Probably grabbed it.
my only issue, Granny, is that I've put an awful lot of work into this house for you, and it's been a pleasure doing it for you, and I'm glad that I was able to do it for you, but I'm struggling a little bit that you're quite happy to pay strangers to come in and do jobs for you, but yet you're not happy to give me anything for all the work I've done
I've
for
told
you.
your mother that as soon as I'm in a position to juggle the finances, I'm going to give you 300.
Right, well I could really do with that really soon because I'm behind. I have to pay my rent and I have to pay my staff. I have different bills that I've just been getting a bit upset that why is everyone else getting paid and I'm not getting anything. So that's great that you say 300 because that's the exact same figure I had in my head, but I really would appreciate that if that came sooner rather than later.
If necessary, I can get that out of the credit union.
I owe
That
you
would be
that, Mum.
fantastic.
I owe you that. I owe you 500.
500,
I've paid 155 to the Gibby, so I can give her that on Monday. But I don't want to get in the middle of you two because you have your own relationship.
Do that for me then. Do
Right,
that for me.
well that would be great.
Yes.
That would be great. Now I do understand though that I have to, the upholsterer has your stuff.
Yes, that's got to be paid for.
Yeah, so that's 250, remember. So he has that, and I'm hoping like by the end of the week he'll have that sorted, and hopefully Vinny is gonna, because Vinny still has to drop over that piano to me, doesn't
Yes,
he?
yes.
So I'm hoping that on the return leg he can bring back your furniture back.
I don't know what the reaction is going to be from Fiona when the piano's going to be moved.
None of her business. It's none of her business, Mum.
I bought that in Mullins auction with my money.
Yeah.
But
She shouldn't have an
It's
issue.
none of her business.
Happy to get out of the house, he reminds Daddy of you. And I said, well, excuse me, I haven't played the piano for 5 years because of my carpal tunnel arthritis in my wrist. And I said, I can't sing anymore. Mostly I play the piano to learn things for the choir.
But the truth is, Mum, I've learned the hard way how to be on my own, right?
Yeah.
And I totally get it that you're struggling with depression. You're struggling with trauma because, like, living on your own after 59 years. You're struggling with how do I fill my day. But I just want you to have a workstation and be able to think to yourself, even once a week, do you know what, I really think I'll just check so-and-so, or I'll do so-and-so. And equally, at the moment, I'm acting as your personal assistant and your advocate and all the rest of it. I may well go away for 3 months if that's what it takes for me to quit smoking and quit drinking and get my health back. And I want to be able to think that you could sit down and type a letter to Gudgeon's Apprentice at
type a letter to Safra, because, and it was Louise that said that without being nasty at all. She just said nothing wrong. She's Granny's frail, but her brain is 100%.
Yes, but my mind.
So then the computer is easy. Yeah, the computer is easier. You could do a letter. Gabby says she will do you a workstation, get you a coffee table, get your upholstery back, and put your lampshades up. And I said to her, don't even have this conversation with Granny, because I said, Granny's a perfectionist. Finish what you started.
There's still some pictures not.
I know.
Yeah, I was talking to Mum about that, but I'd rather put shelves
She wants
up
to
there,
put
Granny,
shelves
put
above your
pictures up.
workstation.
I'd rather put shelves up than put those pictures up, and there is no more wall room for pictures. There's only 3 that haven't been hung, 4 now that I took that other one, but I can put that other one up somewhere, but
Another one.
the landscape that the Canadians did for years.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That
So
really,
put that up.
to be honest, morally, Mum, I don't know if that should have stayed in Scholars Rest. I don't know.
No.
Right. But
They've got pictures of Scholars Rest there. They've got the one that the Canadians did for his birthday, and they all wrote birthday messages all the way around.
is it the same view?
Yeah.
Okay, so you deserve one each.
Just
Okay.
one's in fabric and the other's photograph.
Okay, well that's fine. So then you've got one each. You haven't got both, have you?
No.
Okay. Alright, so I said to Gabby, put an effort in this week, finish what you started, and I'm sure Granny will mind you.
Yeah. Well, Gabrielle and I, that one that's done in fabric, that was done with.
Well, she's here.
It's done by the woman that did the wall hanging for the chapel and fathers.
I love that one, yeah.
So, but do you understand, sometimes do you understand what you think, why is Angela so materialistic, why does Josh look for a £5 an hour or £10 an hour or Jamie
No,
look well? But no, but I want you to understand, if they felt equal to Nicky, Gemma, Alana and Dean, they wouldn't dream of it, nor would Gabby. And when they've asked me over the years, I'll say, right, we're going up to Grandad's, or we're going to get Granny, and they'll say, but why, Mum, they've been so bad to us, and I'll say, because it's the right thing to do.
And just because Mum is mentioning it, and I'm not one to be mentioning that part of I will and that, but just one Mum is mentioning it really caught me like a knife when you said the Christmas decorations would get divided between Alana and Gemma and me, because I'm the one that's done the Christmas tree every single year. There's only been 2 years when I haven't done it, and one was when I was really ill with Donica, and the other one was something similar. There was I think it was when we had the really bad weather and you couldn't drive anywhere, and it really has upset me that for all my hard work, Gemma and Alana are sharing the win, and that to me was my special thing.
Basically, that was me trying to treat you equally, because all the ornaments on the tree are
special.
They're limited edition.
Yeah, and I love them, but the thing is,
They weren't cheap ornaments.
no, they weren't at all.
There
But
were
my
a lot of
argument,
money, and there was some quibbling going on about the Christmas tree decoration.
but my argument would be, Granny, is that Alana and Gemma have had nearly all of your jewellery. I haven't had anything. Now I'm not a jewellery person, so I'm not bothered by that. But it's like it's equality. Alana and Gemma got the jewellery. I've got the Christmas decoration.
I gave Gemma my gold bracelet for her 21st birthday because I had no money to give her anything.
I know, but do you know why I want your Christmas decoration more than I want them to go to someone else? It's because of the memories they hold for me. It's because in years to come, when you are long gone and I'm decorating the tree, I will be able to say, these decorations were for Granny and Brenda's tree. And when I was a girl, I decorated their tree every single year until I was 35. And that's why I want it. It's not because that one's worth this one and that one's worth that one. It's because they hold a memory for me. And that's why I've got silly things in my house that I have for no other reason than they hold a memory for me.
I've still got the first ornament you ever made.
Yeah, my little boy, and you kept that, not because, like,
That's special.
if I died tomorrow and all of a sudden all my textiles and all my pieces of you know, right? And that's why they're special to me. That's why I feel that Alana and Jem have already got other things that were special to them, maybe, but this particular thing is a connection that I have directly with you that's in our life that we've shared together. That's
Right, and on that line, Mum's mum, I just want to say this to Mum as well, I'll get it all off my chest and then we'll go right. You know, like one of the biggest outrages to you, and I completely understand, I get it, it's alright, give something done. The biggest outrages to you was Kathy got involved with black men. It occurred to me after I had that conversation with you, that's exactly what your parents felt about you getting involved with the Catholic. It was the exact same. Irish Catholic. Right? So then, he might have been just, and you, all Kathy's done is gone the next level, and she's gone African, black. You went Irish Catholic, it was the same outrage to your parents, right? The second thing is, Granny, Nana, Dupre, for some reason, right? First of all, when Mum would say, would you have my kids, I'm going into hospital, I have a baby, she said, no, you made your bed, you lie on it, blah, 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 but she took a liking to me. So then she would say, I will only have Angela. No matter what emergencies Mum had, the other sisters had to go to neighbours, and Nana would have me. Nana Dupre would have me. So I would go there, she'd take me to the guild, I'd sing, dance and recite, she'd hold my hand till I thought the blood would end in my hand crossing the road with her. She'd look out the road and say, this was a lovely road till a Catholic family moved in. And then she'd go, oops, sorry. But I remember absolutely every inch of her house, and I remember my love for the symphonium, and my love for the clocks ticking, and the sounds of that house, and shelling the peas, and Grandpa walking me down the garden on his toes to see Freddy Frog, and I remember, it's like a poignant, loving memory for me. So then Louise was the firstborn grandchild, adored Granny. Granny reared her for a year here, a year there, and then Granny says, you're my firstborn granddaughter, I'll leave the symphonium to you. When Mum told me that, me and my big mouth, I spoke up, I said, I'll just buy it off her, that's mine. I had that same heart connection as you do with the Christmas ornaments. It's like, I'm the only one that likes antiques. Bill Smith could see it in me when nobody else could. You went to an auction in Bradford-on-Avon and did my bedroom up like a dream. The symphonium was part of my childhood. How could you dream of giving it to Louise? And I, in my open thinking, just said, Louise is more stuck for money than the symphonium. I'll give her whatever it's valued at. Like Mum, there was a fight over it with Mum's sister and brother, so Mum paid them their share of its valuation at Sotheby's. And she gave them, Sotheby's said it's worth 21 grand, she gave 7 to Fred, 7 to Sylvia, and she took the symphonium. And her dad got paid it for an unpaid debt, and he said, I don't want it going out of the family. So to me, that's one of the things that should not have happened. Right? We can't undo it. But my heart was attached to it. Then Louise was the firstborn grandchild who felt honoured to be getting it. And then when you said I've left the symphonium to Louise, the same thing Gabby's expressing with the tree ornaments, it mounted up in me and I said, I'll just give Louise her financial share of it, her financial valuation. You then got offended and sold it, but that's all dead and gone. So I just think it's good to speak these things rather than fight or be bitter when you're gone.
Well, any alterations I made to my will here in Ireland is with John Pryor, and John Pryor has asked, please speak to me.
Right. We're going to take, do you know the girl that Lila recommended?
Yes.
She works with Gabby's sister. So,
You said it wasn't, what was the name of the woman you said? No, but there was the name
Cora.
of the solicitor.
Cora.
Yeah, and he said it's not Cora, it's Anne, or Annie, or Anne. And apparently Annie, even if it was Cora that was stealing it, it would have been Annie that would have been telling her to say this, quote that, pull up this. Annie is apparently famous for the land.
For advocating for women.
For advocating for women in divorce cases. So he said, my Cora is Annie, you want to go.
Okay.
So
we get to that. I'm getting better.
See, I've done one or two positive things. I contacted Lila Monroe.
It's brilliant.
Things like that.
Brilliant.
It's difficult to cope with everything I'm trying to cope with.
You're doing brilliant, Mum. And I want you
And
to
I've
know.
never been in
type that up for you tomorrow, Mum, because I know it's hard to remember. No, it's...
I do want to tell you though, Granny. Colin Gillespie.
How do I do this first of all? Let me just do this. What do I... No, don't do that, because I know my one's different.
Oh, God, how foolish I feel, because everything I said as scenarios, Mum would back off of claiming half the field or all the field and say, oh, leave it to Nicky. And as it happened, Nicky was promised 16 acres because he was the first male grandchild, and he was promised the field at some point. But my father promises things to multiple people, and it's totally, you know, he promised me 4 acres, he took it back. He promised me an acre, he cut it down to 3/4 of an acre. And then he promised me, he sold it. He asked me for the plans back when I left my ex-husband. And I thought, oh, he's going to be a father, he's going to build it for me, how lovely, and then I'll be able to get a mortgage. Because, you know, it'll be worth 3 times what it's cost to build it. And it wasn't for that, it was to sell it. He lied. He told the planning department that I'd gone back to America. And he carried on, built it, and sold it for $260,000. Well, he didn't even get the profit. Anyway, whatever. But he promised, you know, Tomahawk was promised to I don't know how many people. My horse I had to buy off him in the end because he kept giving it away to people or promising it to people. And yet Mum wants to honour the promises he made to Nicky. Like, never mind that he promised each of us girls an acre to build on if ever we came home. Phil Galligan said the flat upstairs would always be there for any of us that ever wanted to come for an extended stay. You know, promises, and yet the only one that Mummy wants to see honoured is the ones to Nicky. You know, and when I said to Dad, on tape, you promised Kathy, Fiona and I an acre to build on, oh yes, well I meant it then, but it's not feasible since we sold the field. You know, the only people that sold the field was Dad and Mum, and took holidays, and the only people that broke the farm up was Dad and Mum. And their excuse for giving everything to Anne-Marie was, oh, if we split the farm between 5 of you, you'd break it up. Well, guess who broke it up? Mum and Dad. But, so everything that I voiced in that previous audio, that Mum would get cold feet and that she would let Sharon keep the bungalow even though it was wrong, and let Nicky keep the field even though it was wrong, and she was like, no I won't, and she did. So, and she got everything she could for myself and my kids, and then dumped us. So never mind, let's see, I think we'll stop there and go on to the next one in case I lose it again.